An ETF expert shares his 2025 predictions for the ETF market, and he says the Solana and Xrp ETFs will be approved, and I'll share his other predictions as well. I'll give you the full details. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button, as well as the thumbs up button, and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a rating and review. Folks, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin at $94,541 at the time of recording, still consolidating, still may have room to go downward. And actually, one analyst, Crypto Currently, who's been doing some incredible chart analysis, highlighted a chart with different support levels of where Bitcoin could hit if it does continue to go down, and that the likely zone is between 85,000 and 90,000, but a possible zone is also between 75 and 80. I think that's possible. I was saying that for months and people were complaining and saying, oh, you're bearish and you were wrong, but the market faked us out, right? We saw that move upwards and then all of a sudden a big drop. And it's what I've been preaching for so long because I want to share the knowledge and the education with you guys. This is not about your bias. It's not about your emotions. This is about what is the chart telling us? What is the macro backdrop telling us? And Bitcoin pulling back to even 80,000 is very healthy. We've seen these type of corrections in the past. It doesn't mean it has to happen, but you can't entirely rule it out. As educated, informed investors, we need to be prepared for all scenarios, bullish and bearish. So we cannot just rule out a scenario based on our bias that we want higher prices or that we want the price to go down. Maybe we're shorting and we want the price to go down. We have to look at all the scenarios and let the market show us what it wants to do. And there has to be confirmation in the move, because fake outs happen just like we experienced over the past week. So guys, let's see what Bitcoin decides to do. I do think that we may be in for either further downside or some sideways chop before we start moving up again. And part of that has to do with liquidity and global liquidity, which we've been tracking. So in my recent podcast from a couple of days ago, where I talked about QE and that the Fed may return to QE, I also did a full newsletter write-up on this, that we're going to see the return to quantitative easing. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do believe as Trump goes into office, he's going to put pressure on Jerome Powell to continue to cut rates, to end quantitative tightening, and to start quantitative easing. And in my newsletter, I outlined that there's a lot of problems with the Treasury bond yield curve and inflation and the DXY and much more. Those things are going to have to be corrected. And I think the Fed is going to have to inject liquidity. I think they do go back to QE. It may be named something different than quantitative easing this time around. But one thing we just started seeing, and shout out to Thomas on Markets, highlighted the following, saying the Fed liquidity bounces back strongly. And he shared a chart and he gave the following details. Following the recent end-of-year Fed liquidity squeeze, liquidity has now bounced back. Net Federal Reserve liquidity has risen sharply by around $395 billion since January 1st. This is the largest 10-day increase since March 2023. Interesting. Asset markets have been pressured by a rising dollar and treasury yields over the recent days and weeks. So that's the problem, right? And the DXY has been going nuts. Fed liquidity has a loose inverse correlation to the dollar and treasury yields. So rising Fed liquidity is, on the margin, a headwind for DXY and yields. So when they pump liquidity and then they go back to quantitative easing, it's going to collapse the DXY. And that's what we're waiting for, because then it's full risk on. It's also going to solve the treasury yield problem. So he says a large part of the recent bounce has come from the decreased reverse repo usage, liquidity injection. The end of year balance sheet window dressing rush into the reverse repo is now being reversed. He says the Treasury General Account TGA balance has also decreased in recent days, the liquidity injection, of course. So he says, so what's next? The key component to watch over the coming weeks/months is the Treasury General Account. It will soon be time to start looking at a potentially significant TGA drawdown, big liquidity injection, as the Treasury is forced into extraordinary measures due to the reinstatement of the US government debt ceiling. And remember, Janet Yellen, she said this, I think just in Q4. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently announced that the extraordinary measures playbook will be needed at some point between January 14th and January 23rd. So, folks, even if you don't fully understand all of this, the TLDR is they're going to have to continue the status quo, and that is injecting liquidity. If they have to raise the debt ceiling, how are they going to service this debt? How are they going to pay for it? They're going to pull as much out of the Treasury general account, but eventually they got to go back to money printing, guys. So what does that mean for your assets like crypto and stocks and other things? It means they go higher. The correlation is there. Go look back throughout history. The markets are driven by liquidity. Obviously, there's variables when it comes to specific stocks and specific cryptos, right? Because it depends on if this company is doing well and great earnings, and if the crypto blockchain network is getting adoption and there's people building on it, and so on and so forth. Those are the variables, right? But overall, that rising tide of global liquidity drives the markets higher. So, guys, be patient. This is the time to exercise your patience muscles and be a more educated and informed investor, because smart money, this is how they've beaten us historically, because we didn't have this information and they would outlast us, right? I think Warren Buffett, there is a quote, the movement of value in the stock market is from the impatient to the patient. So guys, not financial advice, but if you're able to dollar cost average in on maybe some of these altcoins, I'm going to do that. I bought some SWE and added to my portfolio, and I'm going to hodl and be patient, because the next phase of the bull run is coming, but we just got to go through these volatile times. Now, something that's interesting amidst all of this madness with the markets, which is really not that crazy, XRP's been moving. It's currently at $2.53. It is up near 8% over the past 24 hours, up near 6% over the past 7 days. And the chart looks bullish. And guys, I'm not the only one saying this. Some of you may say, Tony, you're biased. You hold XRP. All right. How about I share Shardy B? Those of you who follow this account on Twitter or X know this person is not some XRP army person. And they tweeted out, I've been telling you how good the XRP chart looks, getting resolution about to blast off. Folks, when you put all your bias and your emotions and all these things to the side and you just look at charts, the chart shows you what is coming and it looks incredibly bullish. You could hate XRP all you want. You ain't stopping this chart, because this is the market playing out. And it's not that you have to hold XRP, but it is a top 3 asset. It is sitting right behind Ethereum, so we can't ignore it. And I'm bullish on this, but I'm also bullish on Ethereum. I'm also bullish on Bitcoin. So I'm not a maxi for any coin. I'm just here to make money. So all the people with your religious, emotional drama and all that nonsense, good luck. I'm here to make money, and I'm going to ride XRP all the way to the top, baby. And here, Blockchain Backer highlighted that on the XRP chart, that the XRP bull flag number 1 is done, meaning XRP broke out of that bull flag it was forming. So that's very, very bullish, guys. I like what I'm seeing here. Once again, this is the chart now, and he gave a comparison to the Bitcoin chart and how Bitcoin was moving. I think it was looks like it was back in November, similar pattern. So it's going to move in phases. There's not going to be a straight green candle up forever. Obviously, these things move in phases. So, guys, well, once again, if you love or hate XRP, this train ain't stopping. It's going to keep going. And don't get me wrong, other altcoins will move too. I just told you guys I bought the dip for SWE, which has been doing really well. It's currently at number 12. And I think SWE is going to perform great this market. So I'm diversified and my bags are packed to make some epic returns, guys. All right, let me give you some news from Nate Geraci. Many of you may know Nate Geraci. He's the president of the ETF store. So Nate has been in the ETF business for a very long time, before there were ever crypto ETFs. And I've had him on the podcast. He's maybe what you would call a TradFi guy, right? He has his own firm and so forth. So he gave some amazing ETF predictions for 2025. He says, here are my top 10 related ETF predictions for 2025. Number 1, Spot Bitcoin ETFs surpass physical gold ETFs in assets. He says, I think obvious unless the price of Bitcoin collapses. Number two, spot Ether ETF options is approved. So that makes sense. They approved the options for the Bitcoin ETF. He says, number three, in-kind creation / redemption is allowed for spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs. I agree with that. Spot Ether ETF staking is approved. I think this is coming, guys. And we got the shift in the SEC with a new chair, more pro crypto and so forth. I think this gets approved. I think this ushers in a ton of capital into Ethereum. So I've been saying this for a while. Number five, Bitwise Bitcoin Standard Corporation's ETF, which would own the stocks of companies adopting the Bitcoin standard, launches and crosses over $1 billion in assets. So I definitely think that's possible as well. So number six, at least 50 other crypto-related ETFs launch, from options-based products, covered call ETFs, defined outcome ETFs, etc., to equity ETFs denominated in Bitcoin to Bitcoin bond ETFs. I think that gets approved as well. These products he highlighted here, they already exist in the market outside of crypto. So it's nothing new necessarily here. It's just putting Bitcoin in them. And if you have a Bitcoin futures ETF, any of a spot ETF, it's easy to get these things going. Now, check this out. Number seven, spot Solana ETFs are approved. Number eight, spot XRP ETFs are approved. And he says, number nine, Bitwise and Grayscale crypto index ETFs are approved. So the index, it will be Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, right? Those that get approved. And if HBAR gets approved as well, they get thrown in there. And number 10, I love this. Vanguard capitulates and allows clients brokerage access to spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs. So Vanguard, we know they screwed up. I don't know if they will, but I think the pressure will be on because they're losing out on revenue. The rest of Wall Street is grabbing up as much money as possible, and you got this market ready to explode. So you would be a fiduciary idiot to not do this, right? If whoever's running the company, we know the old CEO got kicked out earlier in 2024. So let's see, maybe they do open it up. I think it's just a matter of when, not if. But guys, number 7 and number 8, Solana and XRP ETFs get approved. Can you imagine how big that will be for the altcoin market? We know there have been a bunch of Solana and XRP spot ETF applications that have already been put in. We got a favorable SEC chair coming in, a favorable Congress and president. Crypto legislation should be passed this year. So I think these get approved, guys. Will it be immediately as Paul Atkins comes into the SEC? No, I think it could be later in the year, possibly in the summertime as we head into Q4 towards the blow off top. We'll have to wait and see. We could even see the blow off top sooner than that. We just have to watch the markets closely because no one has a crystal ball. But if everything plays out like it has historically with the 4-year cycle, expect a top to come in Q4. So there's two scenarios: top in the end of Q2 or a top towards Q4. So we'll just have to wait and see. But guys, can you imagine what that's going to do to the price of XRP and Solana? The amount of capital that's going to come in. Eric Balchunas, Bloomberg ETF analyst, he's a senior Bloomberg ETF analyst, said, good list. At first glance, I agree with all of them, although would like to hear first how the SEC vibe has changed. And number 10 is iffy. So that's if Vanguard is going to open up. He says, at least this year, they seem really dug in on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if 1 through 9 happen. Going to be a wild year again. Once again, these are not guys that work at crypto exchanges or crypto hedge funds. They work in TradFi. They've been covering ETFs forever before crypto, but they recognize what's happening and they're covering it. So I definitely value their opinion and their perspective because they've seen a lot more than many of us guys outside of crypto. So pretty amazing stuff. Pretty amazing stuff. I love it. Now, Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business highlighted that the crypto industry is holding its own inaugural ball on January 17th in honor of the swearing in of Donald Trump and JD Vance. And it looks like the event will be hosted by Bitcoin Inc. and Stand with Crypto. And she also added some context here, saying during the inaugural crypto ball next Friday, there will also be a VIP reception hosted by Trump Super PAC MAGA Inc. or PAC MAGA Inc. With AI and crypto czar David Sachs. She says, I'm told Donald Trump will not be in attendance. The tickets are expensive. They're going for $100,000 and much more. But I will be in DC the week of the inauguration on Wednesday, January 22nd, for a crypto event, kind of piggybacking on the inauguration, that is held by the Digital Chamber as well as Constellation Network. So I'll try to get you guys some video content, chat with some folks there. But it's going to be a very bullish year, guys. Things are heating up very nicely. I'm super excited. So as always, make sure you have your plan, know what you're doing this year, what price points you're taking profits at, and make sure you're looking at the market from a macro view, because there will be volatility, guys. You could see, after this respective cool down and pull it back correction, whatever the hell you want to call it, and we find a bottom and then we pump again, right? What we've seen historically is you have these pumps very much so in February, March, and then April, and then you have the selling for tax season. And what's the saying, guys? Sell in May, go away. The summer months are usually not that great for crypto and the stock market. So we could see another pullback then, or correction, then sideways consolidation. Then come Q3, we start picking up steam, and then Q4, absolute mania, just like we saw in Q4 2024. So I hope you guys are recognizing the seasonality of all these things and what's happening here, and how the markets work. Now, it's not 100% perfect, but it's at least knowledge and data and statistics that we can use, some historical patterns, to at least form a thesis based on info versus our gut and our emotions and feelings, right? We don't want to operate that way. Markets will play with our emotions. It will have us in a spin cycle, in a roller coaster. It could drive you nuts if you don't stay grounded with data. That's so important. That's why I have one of my sponsors is Santiment, who I have them on like every 2 weeks to go through data to tell you guys what's happening. In my most recent episode, we talk about what the Bitcoin whales are doing, because they're the ones that move the markets. So forget about crypto, Twitter, or X. Forget about what retail is saying. What the hell are the whales doing? Because that can tell you the true story. What are they doing with the coins? Are they moving off the exchanges? Are they buying more? What's going on with stablecoin liquidity and supply? All these things are what matters versus what you may hear or see on YouTube or Twitter. And I put myself in there, right? So this is why I bring you the data versus me just saying, hey guys, XRP is going to 589 tomorrow, right? Versus dumb stuff like that. And I say, hey, look at the chart, look at the data, look at what the whales are doing, look at the sentiment, look at global liquidity, because these are things that I'm not making up. These are just the facts, the reality, right? And we can at least base our thesis off of that. All right, guys, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Do you think XRP and the Solana ETF will get approved this year? And be sure to check out my sponsor, BitGo, which is one of the top tier crypto custodians. They're being used by many big firms in the crypto industry like Bitstamp Exchange, Sweet, a token project, Pantera Capital, that's Dan Morehead's hedge fund, 21 Shares, which issues Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. And they recently launched a retail platform where you can buy, sell, trade, and stake crypto. It's easy to sign up and to go check this out. And of course, you'll have the top tier safety with your assets. And they're also giving away 1 Bitcoin per quarter as a great promotion. So go sign up, guys, and check it out. BitGo, once again, been around a long time, and they're one of the biggest custodians in the market. Now, also a great way you can support me in the podcast, guys, is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. It's available on Substack. Link will be in the description. And also grab a copy of my book, Rethinking Crypto. It's available on Amazon in paperback and digital. Buy a copy for yourself. Buy a copy for your friends and family who want to learn about crypto. And if you bought a copy already, please, please, please leave a rating and review. It will really help me out. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.